Hello, thank you so much for joining us for the webinar today. Very excited to have you here for the webinar that we're calling Asset Operations Management for Healthcare. I'm thrilled to be joined by our CEO and founder, Ryan Tan. Please make sure that you are interacting with us. You'll see both a chat and a questions. We would really love to hear from you. We really want to make sure your questions are answered, so don't be shy. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ryan.
All right. Thank you so much, Vicki, and thank you everyone for joining us today on today's webinar around asset operations management and specifically for the healthcare industry. Today, we're going to go deep into why now, why the need for asset operations for the healthcare industry. And I'm super excited that I'm joined by everyone here today. But before I jump in too deep around asset operations for the healthcare industry, I want to share a little bit about who I am and who UpKeep is before I get too deep into it. As a quick refresher, if you don't know me already, my name is Ryan. I'm the CEO and founder of UpKeep. And a little bit about my background, I started in the manufacturing space. I went to Cal Berkeley as a chemical engineer. My first job was thinking about how do we streamline our manufacturing process? How do we make it more efficient? How do we streamline and reduce downtime of our equipment? And how do we make sure that we have the most effective operations possible? And I was actually tasked with finding better tools and technology to help us support this mission of better understanding where our assets were and the health and status of all of our equipment was at any given time. But I couldn't find anything that I liked and I loved. And so I actually embarked on this mission about 6 years ago to build better software and technology because I couldn't find that for myself for the entire maintenance reliability space. And over the last 6 years, our company has grown and grown a bunch. Over the last 6 years, we've gotten the opportunity to learn from over 3,000 customers all across the world. It's been so cool to see that. Across both manufacturing, healthcare, oil and gas, we've taken the best of best from so many different industries and enabled our product to enable you, our customers and prospects, to learn from the best. Over the last 5-6 years, we've raised $50 million in venture capital, and we've grown this amazing network of over 4,500 community members where they're sharing knowledge, and it's super lively. Over the past 5.5 years, we've gotten named as a leader in the CMS, EAM, APM categories. It's been really awesome to see that. And I feel very grateful for the work that we've done. But also, what I'd say here is that we're just getting started. A quick refresher on what UpKeep actually does and what our product is, just to give everyone a quick, super high-level detail. Our goal is to mobilize and modernize maintenance software with product depth to support enterprises. We have 2 core products that we sell. The first one is our flagship product, UpKeep Maintenance Management. It centers around and focuses on helping you streamline work order management, know where all of your assets are at any given time, and help you and the team manage your parts, inventory, and purchase order flow. The most common use case that we have and we see for the healthcare facility is you've got extremely expensive assets floating around your entire healthcare facility. And when something breaks down, you can easily pull out your phone, snap a picture, create a work order, attach it, scan a barcode so that you can attach that work order to an asset so that you have the entire asset history in your back pocket. Everything from warranties, depreciation, downtime, to who's done what, when, and last. Oh, and if you need to, purchase a part for that repair, you can schedule all of that within UpKeep. You can submit purchase orders, and we have direct integrations into some of the biggest ERPs as well. And that's like the most common use case, especially for the healthcare industries. We help you schedule both reactive, corrective, preventative, and we help you turn your maintenance team from reactive to preventative and help you get them to a state of predictive. Our second product is called UpKeep Edge, and it's a fully functioning IoT remote condition monitoring solution where we actually sell sensors, whether it's vibration, temperature, current, power sensors, and more. We also sell a wireless gateway that helps connect all the sensors and push all of the data up into the cloud so that you know what the status and health of your equipment is at any given time, whether you're standing next to it or not. All of this data feeds into our cloud-based system and helps you have predictive insights on where things are, who's done, and what the status is, so that you can push work orders directly into our core work order management platform. These are two core products that we have here at UpKeep, and this is how 3,000 customers all across the world have utilized our products to support and better streamline their entire operations. So that's a quick overview of what UpKeep is. But I know you joined me and all of us today not to hear about what UpKeep is, but to hear about why we believe that the time is right now for asset operations in healthcare. So I want to dig right in. The first trend that we noticed in the healthcare industry is a stat that we found. And it said by 2025, it's estimated that 40% of all IoT devices will be in the healthcare category. What we're starting to see and this is happening right now and so fast, is that healthcare facilities are adding hundreds of thousands of connected devices with different levels of criticality. Assets and all of these IoT devices need to be documented, they need to be tracked, and they need to be managed in a scalable way to ensure efficient day-to-day maintenance and asset operations. And right now, there's this explosion of new assets, new devices in the healthcare industry. It's so cool to see that. But what we're also starting to see is this mismanagement of all of these devices. I wonder, are you starting to see this too at your facility? The second trend that we started to notice across the healthcare industry is that health systems, hospitals, providers must comply with over 629 discrete regulatory compliance requirements across 9 different domains. This industry is spending over $39 billion a year solely on the administrative activities related to regulatory compliance in these 9 different domains. And for this industry, we're just starting to see this grow every single day. And you, as the business owner, need to have better technology and tools that not only help you manage where your assets are and how many assets you have and the health and status and the condition of all of these assets, but you also need to have a single source of truth for audits to be able to comply with these 629 different regulatory requirements across so many different domains. You need to have this centralized command center that we're not seeing technology provide today. On top of that, what we have started to see is that these problems within the healthcare space are actually directly impacting patient outcomes. And what we're starting to see is that we believe that the current system for facilities maintenance and asset operations and management right now, we think that's broken. The reason why we say this is broken is that we have so many assets, we have different departments, different teams working on the same facility and the same assets, but they're not working together. You often have maintenance that cares about repairs. You have facilities that cares about what's going on within the facility itself. And then you have operations that's focused a little bit more on long-term outlook. But right now, these teams aren't working together. And when we talk about the need for centralizing all of your assets and centralizing all of the data so that you can run and pass all of your audits, when you have these 3 separate teams focused on the same asset, the same facility, but running in different directions, makes it a heck of a lot more difficult. On top of that, what you're starting to see, and what we've started to see, is that data is siloed. It's actually really awesome. Right now, there's more data than ever. When we talk about passing, these audits and regulatory requirements and the explosion of assets in the healthcare industry, it's actually really cool that we have more data than ever coming from ERPs, technical data, IoT, SCADA systems, and whatnot. But what we're seeing is that this data, while it is abundant, it's not shared across different platforms and teams. And it became super fragmented, resulting in misaligned perspectives across the entire organization. While it's awesome that we have all of this data, if you don't centralize it, that collection of data becomes just as useless as not having it to begin with. We talked about this explosion of assets. We talked about the need for better unification around teams. But ultimately, what we're also seeing is that these teams have different measures of success. Again, we talked about how everyone works on the same asset, the same facility, but all of these teams are approaching their work with different goals. I think it's obvious that everyone wants to keep the healthcare systems running optimally to maintain the best critical care. But right now, teams are working very independently to achieve all of this. To say this is simply not working is an understatement. We think that there's a much better way. We realize that right now, technicians are under-supported by technology and they lack the systems that makes days, lives, and jobs easier for them. We see the tools and technology that they're given, it's not easy to use, and it's so difficult that oftentimes we're trying to track all of our audits, we're trying to track all of our assets on pen and paper spreadsheets or homegrown solutions that were never purpose-built to do exactly this. And when we talk about this growing trend in the industry, this growing trend of explosion of assets in the healthcare space, and this growing trend of more and higher stringent requirements for regulatory compliance, we need to give you a better solution, better technology to help you manage all of this. Right now, what we're seeing is that budgets are misinformed. We also are lacking the budget to support all of these technological advances. And we need to better inform our team, the maintenance team, to give them the right amount of financial resources so that they can contribute to the bottom line. Right now, we're starting to see how maintenance, operations, facilities teams be measured by what they're doing, not why they're doing it. And we need to flip that around. In order for us to get the right budget to support all of these growing trends, we have to change and shift our way of thinking from looking at maintenance teams and measuring them by what they do to now looking at the outcome of why they do that. That's going to be the critical mind shift that we need to have in order to support this growing trend that is already starting to happen. And I'll give you one stat that we found in a survey that we launched earlier this year. 43% of businesses cited that reducing downtime was their #1 critical goal, but 47% of businesses reported that the primary maintenance KPI was completed planned preventative maintenance. Right now, there's a big disconnect between what matters to a business, which is often reducing downtime, supporting their customers, and providing the best care, and what's actually measured. Because what's measured right now is just how many work orders did they complete, not the things that they actually care about. And what's happening is this is misrepresenting a lot of their success. All right, the reason why we're here today, I believe, and I think all of us believe, that we have the opportunity to break the cycle. And I think the most powerful thing that we can do is shift the entire industry's mindset. We need to stop thinking about the past and start thinking about the future. We know that these growing trends are happening right now as we speak. And it's up to us to get ahead of the curve and give our team better tools, better technology to support these growing trends around this explosion of assets and also this growing need for regulatory compliance. We need to give the team a better way to be part of the future and not be left behind. So ultimately, what can we do about it? What can we do about this today? We talked about this. There's this growing need in the healthcare industry with number of assets just exploding by the day and the list of regulatory compliance requirements that are growing by the day. And we believe that having a centralized command center for all of your asset and regulatory audit data is not just important. Instead, we believe that it's critical for helping you scale and be prepared for the future. And we here at UpKeep believe this is called asset operations. We know that the tools and technology that we're using today are inefficient towards helping you be prepared for this growing trend. And asset operations is all about integrating operations and maintenance for mutually beneficial outcomes for maximizing patient and healthcare operations and organizations. There's often this, trade-off that feels almost at odds with each other. That's oftentimes controlling costs and improving operational efficiency. We believe here at UpKeep that they're not mutually exclusive, and that controlling costs and also increasing and improving operational efficiency actually means that we can improve patient care and serve your customers better. So what is asset operations? We believe that asset operations is having one central command center where you take all of this disjointed data into a single system of record so that you can focus on documenting, tracking, and managing the growing number of assets within your healthcare facility in a scalable way. And we think that this regulatory compliance is going to become an ongoing part of a very easily auditable asset operations platform. When we talk about centralizing data and giving you the tools and technology that you need to pass your audits and comply with this growing number of regulatory compliance requirements, you have to have this centralized command center so that you know exactly where all of your data lives. All right. So it's not just us that believes in this. We actually had the opportunity to survey many of our customers. And what's really cool to see is that over 200 healthcare organizations have actually chosen UpKeep for this exact reason. They started to notice these trends in the industry, and they started to realize how important it was to keep track of all of their assets because they were getting prepared for the future. On top of that, we ran another survey across the industry. 92% of healthcare executives believe that technology democratization is becoming critical in their ability to ignite innovation across the organization. And on top of that, we're also starting to see that 41.4% of businesses are going to continue to invest in technology to close this gap in digital transformation. The reason why I'm bringing these stats up is because I want to let you know and everyone know that you're not alone in this. A lot of businesses are facing the same exact challenges. And ultimately, we believe in asset operations in this vision of a connected single source of truth to help you streamline your operations. We believe in this so much, which is why we are here today talking about it. And with that, I just want to say thank you, everyone, for participating in today's webinar. I want to open it up for any questions. Vicky, do we have any?
Yes, we do, Ryan. Let's start with this one that came in. How does this approach differ for individual health centers versus larger multi-location medical facilities?
That's a great question. Because I think oftentimes what we start to see is that big enterprises have the budgets to support, much more complex systems. And what we've also seen is that smaller organizations may not have that same budget. So when we talk about asset operations and the need to unify all of your data, one big reason why this hasn't been a growing trend at the single facility level is not because it's not important, but because the tools and technology that we currently have are just way too expensive or way too difficult to implement and use. So what this means and how I view this is that it's extremely important. We need to do something, but more so, it's on us as a technology provider to give you, the smaller business, the tools, technology to actually make it easy to implement and adoptable by your team. It's this trend is not just happening at the big organization enterprise level. This trend is happening regardless of whether you're big enterprise, medium business, or a single site.
Awesome, Ryan. How about this one? Can non-users like nurses submit maintenance requests?
Of course, of course. A big part of asset operations again is like centralizing all of your data around your assets into one central command center. This doesn't mean that, it's just for the maintenance team. We think that everyone within the organization should be part of this conversation around reliability of your assets, regardless of whether you're in maintenance, whether you're a nurse, whether you're the head of the company, or whether you're the physician at the facility. We think everyone should be part of the reliability conversation. Everyone is partly responsible for making sure that our assets are up. We know where they are. We know the status and health of them, health of all of our assets. Um, Absolutely, Vicky.
Follow-up question. What about patients?
Patience. That's a great question. I mean, ultimately, it depends on the business that you're in. We obviously understand that, while we did just say that everyone should be part of the conversation around maintaining the status of your assets, a big part of that hopefully shouldn't be your patients. Your patients shouldn't be the one, being responsible for you and your assets and the uptime of your equipment. At the end of the day, like, that is on us as a company and as a team to provide the best care. um, at the end of the day, like, that is on us to provide the best and highest quality care to our patients. They are our customers.
Agreed. So, another question, how does UpKeep help with inventory?
How does upkeep help with inventory? I mean, we kind of walk through the general flow. And generally, it's a broken piece of equipment needing to run a repair, scanning a barcode so that you can quickly pull up the asset information. But oftentimes, businesses have a spare parts storeroom where they can keep some backup materials, backup parts. Um, what Upkeep really does is helps you have that single source of truth so that you can pull out your phone. And if you need, a bolt, or if you need a, pump for this repair, you can pull out your phone and quickly glance at your inventory to see if it's available or not. And if not, then you can also really easily scan a barcode, create a purchase order so that your purchasing team can actually go out and purchase it. And you can get notified the minute that it arrives at your door. The entire maintenance process, a big component of it is making sure that the parts arrive on time so that you can run your repairs on time and get that asset back up and running in no time. So it's a big component of upkeep.
Next question, also a great one around how UpKeep can help, this time around audit reporting.
Like we said, that's a great question. Like we said, Upkeep is the central command center to help you with all of your audits. And at the end of the day, like, what the audit often cares about and what matters most for the audit is just a single source of truth for what's been done, who's done what, when, where, why, and who did it last. So really, what Upkeep is, we help manage oftentimes inspections, whether that's safety around the facility, whether that's cleanliness, whether that's preventative maintenance around the building. Um, Upkeep is that single source of truth for who's done what, when, why, and who did what, who did this last. Um, as long as you have that single source of truth, we oftentimes are that single source of truth for people to pop into, and you can hand all of your information over to the auditor.
Awesome. Another question. Oh, this is a good one. How do non-critical devices play into asset operations management? For example, prioritizing an MRI machine maintenance versus digital thermometers.
Yeah. I mean, it all depends on your business and the way that what you classify as an asset. Oftentimes, they're kind of like thresholds that you say a dollar amount. Over this dollar amount is considered an asset for our business. So oftentimes, a digital thermometer might not even be classified as an asset. But I think the question that you're getting at, Vicky, is like, how do you prioritize, what's important, what's not? And oftentimes that comes in the analysis of criticality, risk assessment that can all be done within UpKeep. To your point, like if we have a finite number of resources, what do we prioritize? What do we work on first? What do we do second? That can all be done in UpKeep. And, ultimately, like how UpKeep helps you streamline that, we help our customers run risk assessment and also run criticality analyses of their assets so that they can prioritize what's most important.
Just two more questions, Ryan, and then I will let you go. First, how do you measure, I'm going to hopefully say this word correctly, how do you measure the efficacy of an operations platform like this?
How do you measure efficacy of an asset operations platform? At the end of the day, we kind of talked about it. It all comes down to outcomes. What does your business care about? If your business cares about, the health and safety, if your business cares about, passing audits, if your business cares about reducing downtime, these are the metrics that you should be using and tracking on a daily basis to measure the success of your asset operations platform. And ultimately, oftentimes when we work with our customers, oftentimes it doesn't mean, success is world-class and failure is anything below that. Oftentimes, success is measured by what's the benchmark that we have today, and are we improving from yesterday?
Excellent. And last question, because I know you're someone who likes to get to the heart of a matter. If you wanted someone to remember one thing from this presentation, wanted them to take away one thing, what would it be?
Ooh, can I give you two?
Please, of course.
I mean, maybe it's all centered around one, but we talked about this a bunch. But there's a growing trend in our industry. There's a growing number of assets. It's actually really cool to see this IoT explode in the healthcare facility. But we need a better way to track and manage our assets. And if we don't do that today, we're just gonna we're gonna lose track of that really, really fast. The second one is just centered around, again, this like audits and regulatory compliance. This list just seems to be growing on the daily. And so if we don't have a better solution, better technology that helps manage these two growing trends, I think we're going to be left behind. So those are like the two big takeaways that I hope that everyone can remember from today's session.
Those are great, Ryan. Thank you. I want to thank you for a wonderful presentation. I want to thank everyone who attended today. I apologize if I did not get to your question. There were a ton in there. We will make sure that we follow up on anything that we missed. I also want to encourage you, welcome you. We talked a little bit about UpKeep today. If you want to learn a little bit more, visit our website at onupkeep.com. That's onupkeep.com. And we're happy to schedule a demo just for your organization so you can take a look at how the software can benefit you. We hope that you found this presentation valuable and really appreciate that you joined us today. Ryan, anything, last words?
Thank you so much, Vicky, and thank you everyone for joining us. Really appreciate it, and I will see you soon.